This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, college football fans or basketball fans, whatever you guys may be, as we're getting a little bit into that transitional time of the year. Is it football season? Is it basketball season? It's pretty much both. Welcome to the Primetime Podcast. My name is Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And Brandon, we've got virtually kind of our last football. I think we may have one more. We got to talk about the champion once it's crowned, but this is the last time we're going to be talking about a football game, pre-football game this season. And it's the granddad, not the Rose Bowl, not the granddaddy of them all, but it's the biggest game in Arizona. Roll Tide, number 2, versus undefeated Dabo Swinney dancing his way with the Tigers at number 1. Because they won the crap games, which were the semifinals.
Yeah, that was the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy of them all. Maybe this one is the Big Papa.
The Big Papa, or Big Poppy, to David Ortiz.
Yeah, there you go. But I'll be quite honest with you. It was New Year's Eve. I didn't watch these games. I stayed in
just to watch these games. That's why I'm a little salty.
What a trooper! I'll be honest with you. They weren't good. I knew Alabama was going to win. I didn't think that they would shut out Michigan State. Clemson, I told you I didn't think that they would win it, but I was absolutely right on the quarterback that I would take, Deshaun Watson. Boy, did he get it done with his feet against Oklahoma's defense, rather lack thereof.
Well, it was just, and I want to, before we talk about the national title game, we got to talk a little bit about the semifinal games, and let's start with that first one, the one you were talking about, Oklahoma and Clemson. The thing I thought while watching it, because I watched, folks, every minute of these games, because the way I thought it was, I've given you crap this entire bowl season about the other bowls, but in the end, which were the only two that counted? These two. So I'm like, I am going to watch every minute of these games because, I'll be honest, last year, I didn't see the entire Ohio State. I saw the entire Oregon, Florida State. I was not going to miss Mariota beating down on Jameis Winston. But the Alabama-Ohio State game, I was like, Alabama's going to roll them. It's going to be easy. And then Ezekiel Elliott had that touchdown. I'm like, I got to turn it on. I couldn't get the remote in my hand fast enough. But this time, it was exactly what I thought last year. Alabama rolled to an easy win. And the first half of both of these games, close. You look at the Orange Bowl. You have a 17-16 score going into the half, and then Clemson runs away with it, shutting out Oklahoma in the second half. Whereas Alabama shut Michigan State out the entire game, but it was 0-0 until the second quarter, and then it was only 10-0 at halftime before Alabama ran away with it 28-0 in the second half. And it was just, to me, it was something that I saw on an article from the fansided.com network, and the headline just read, "Now with a couple years, it's time to rethink the bowl system," with the playoffs included in that. Where we've had a couple years now, 2 to be exact, with these playoffs. Maybe we expand it a little bit. Maybe we do. Because these games, I don't know why these games were clunkers, because it wasn't just these games. It was all the New Year's 6 games, except for maybe the Houston, Florida State blowout. Just blowouts all over the field.
Yeah, I will say, to start things off, we are seeing the 2 best teams in college football duke it out at the end. And a lot of times you don't see that. You see upsets. You'll get at least one, but that didn't happen. I mean, you are seeing the 2 best teams, 1 and 2, in college football. I mean, and that's why I'm excited. That's why I'm really excited to watch the national championship game next week, because it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good battle. I think it's going to be close. I can't call this game yet, that's for sure. But is it time to rethink expansion of the playoffs? Yeah, you need to make some more games that really matter.
Because you know what
I think you gotta. I think expand to 8.
Well, that's what I was going to throw out there.
I see starting with 1 through 4. You could have probably started with 1 through 8, and it could have worked.
Or you could have said, okay, if you're saying 8 is too much, you could even say, okay, we'll do 6. Have the first round be 3 through 6, where the 1 and 2 team, like your incentive for going undefeated, like Clemson, is to get a bye. You get a bye through that first round. Yeah, we could even do that.
There's a lot of ways that we can go about it, but I think it's a lot. It would be more incentive for teams to really, really want to win that game, because it's not like it's just, oh, here's the Outback Bowl with this team and this team, and this team loses 45-6.
Was the Outback Bowl Northwestern Tennessee? Was that one?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I'm good, man. I'm good for calling that off the top of my head.
45-6.
Yeah,
Tennessee. I mean, not to say that Northwestern came in saying, "Oh yeah, we would love to lose," but but there would be more incentive, I think, for them to bring their A game, bring their best game, instead of, "Oh, we're just in a bowl game." Just like all those other crap games that were on TV were just bowl games. They meant nothing. Because at the end of the day, what do you get after that? Do you get some big trophy that you get to hoist up in the air and say, we're national champions? No. You get a couple of gift certificates to Outback for the team. Woohoo! It doesn't matter. What matters is the competition, the fierce competition of those 4 best teams, or what I think could be, and Ricky, I think you're with me here, 8 best teams going for the Big Papi.
Oh, well, and I totally agree. The one thing, this is what I thought New Year's Day. I was watching the Rose Bowl, and you know what I thought to myself? I wonder what a Stanford-Clemson game would have looked like. Like, I was wondering what these games would have been. Or I sat there and went, I wonder what a Michigan-Alabama game might have looked like.
Please don't tell me you were one of those people that went, Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman.
Oh, no.
There was way too much of that. Brandon, Greasy, keep your mouth shut, buddy.
I was not sitting in the background going, McCaffrey for Heisman. I wasn't doing that, let's be honest. And that's me throwing a joke at that Stanford fan that during McCaffrey's entire press conference, he's sitting there going, McCaffrey for Heisman. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Come on.
He had a couple of good games. Good for him.
I mean, he broke Barry Sanders' record, but here's the thing, and you got me off on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm going to say it.
Good, I'm glad I did.
Here's the thing with Christian McCaffrey. I was texted by old podcast friend, used to be a part of MVP, Dave Oster. If you're an oldie, you know the OG.
And every once in a while, you think he's going to make a comeback, and then he doesn't show up.
He comes back for a little bit, and then he's gone. He's the Phantom. But he texted me, and he's like, do you think McCaffrey's going to make it in the NFL? Because Dave's the kind of guy where he gets really into college football around draft season, around bowl season, where he'll focus on guys that like the young freshman quarterback at Louisville, that Jackson kid. Not even on my radar, but Dave's like, oh, this kid looks pretty good. He's focusing on him now because he's thinking about draft time. He's thinking about scouting players. I can't disagree with him. I love draft time, but my first thought with Christian McCaffrey was he ain't going to make it in the NFL as a running back. Maybe a wide receiver like a Ricky Prohl kind of, or a Wes Welker in the slot kind of guy. Like Julian Edelman, but he's not going to make it as a running back. I don't think he's tough enough. And you could say like, oh, well, Ricky, he is. No, I don't think he doesn't fit the build of an NFL running back. To me, he's more of he would make it more as a pass catcher, let's put it. Not a wide receiver, a pass catcher.
He'd probably be more of the, Danny Woodhead type?
Mm-hmm. If he did play running back, he'd be Danny Woodhead. But I'm putting him more as I'd put him in the slot and have him be like Julian Edelman. I mean, Edelman can play outside, but I would put him. I think Julian Edelman would be actually, that's a great kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Comparison for him.
Yeah, I think, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, just to be able to make it in the NFL is good enough. They'll find a spot for you.
Oh, yeah.
If you're willing to play, they'll find a spot for you.
And that's the attitude not a lot of players have is, what role can I fit to this team? Most players come in and go, this is me, have the team fit around me.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
Exactly, but we're not going to get into that. Let's get into this game more in depth. Alabama, Clemson. I'm going to tell you this. I'll tell you my winner right now. You want to know my winner?
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah, I know.
The reason why I'm saying Alabama, and the reasoning may have you going, oh, Ricky, you're one of those guys.
Ricky is one of those guys. I don't even know what he's going to say.
The day after the semifinal games, I look through on my phone how Snapchat has like the ESPN stuff. And I'm looking through it and I'm swiping through, and they come to where they played a bit of Dabo's post-game interview, and then they played a bit of Nick Saban's. And Dabo's basically in a nutshell was, we're going to the Natty. We're going to the Natty. Whereas Nick Saban was asked, hey, you going to smile now that you won this one? You know what Nick Saban said? No, we got one more to win, man. We got one more game left. That's why Alabama's going to win. Clemson is happy that just by the coaches, because teams kind of take on the personality of their coach. I'll tell you this, a week from today when we're recording this podcast, Clemson's going to be happy they're there. Alabama's going to be hungry to win the game. Because guess what? Alabama has not forgotten about last year. They have not forgotten. That's why I think they beat Michigan State like they did. Because they were thinking about last year. They were thinking, we can't let up on anybody or else we're going to lose. We can't come in thinking we're going to win because then Ohio State beats us. That's what they were thinking.
Well, I don't necessarily think that you can knock Dabo Swinney for being excited that his team's going to the national tournament. Or, pardon me, I say national tournament.
The national championship.
But I don't think you can knock him, but I also don't think that you can say that just because Nick Saban doesn't have a smile on his face doesn't mean that he's not excited that his team is going there. They have two different personalities. Nick Saban is much more to the media, to the people that can see him and put the camera on him. He is much more very serious, very stoic in a way.
Whereas Dabo wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Saban knows how to have fun. Saban can do that for sure. Dabo is different in the sense of what you just said. He's outwardly going to show his emotions all the time.
He's a character.
But both of them are characters. Both of them are great coaches, and both of them are very excited that their teams are going to the national championship game.
I just feel, and this is kind of like a longer thing, is Nick Saban's been there, done that. Nick Saban is gonna have his boys ready to go, ready to play. Part of me feels like Clemson may feel like, okay, we're ready for this one, but especially with Dabo at Clemson, it's always been, we got to get there, we got to get there, we got to get there, and then something doesn't happen. In recent history, like last year and the year before, it was, oh, we lost to Jameis Winston. Oh, wait, Jameis ain't playing, we lost to the backup. There's been this one thing that just stands in their way. Alabama, to me, is going to be ready to play this game. Better than Clemson, because Clemson's just going to be happy they're there.
In Alabama, it's going to be interesting to how their defensive front matches up against Deshaun Watson, because he's not just a pocket passer.
Because he can burn you.
He can roll out of there, and he can do exactly what Tyrod Taylor did to the Jets yesterday. He did not stay in the pocket, and he moved freely around there. They could not get to him, and that's going to be one thing. If Alabama cannot do that, that is going to be rough. But I think that their defense will definitely be up to the task.
See, and I'm just like, I'm trying to I'm looking back at Alabama's schedule, and the only game we didn't see them play well was that Old Miss game. But really, it wasn't a I'm thinking of his last name's Kelly, Chad Kelly. He's not a Deshaun Watson guy. He wasn't going to kill you with his legs. He just had some really good passes, and
he got
Kelly
lucky
had it on
a couple of times.
Well, I mean, if we're speaking from Brandon's Roll Tide heart, got lucky a couple times. I just thought they were phenomenal plays. That the football gods were looking down on the Rebels that day.
It's called luck.
With the favorable eye. But thanks, Brandon. I was trying to put a different light on it, but thanks for popping my balloon there.
You're welcome.
But to me, the key for Alabama, the defense is going to be ready to play. The key to me is Jay Coker. The reason being is Coker can't be what we all thought he would be. He can't Dennis Green it. He is who we thought he was. He's got to play just as good as he played in the semifinal game.
And how about that?
Efficiently.
25 of 30, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was good.
No picks.
He's
got to play a clean game. Because I'll tell you what, Shaq Lawson, who got injured in that Clemson game, he's aiming to play he expects to play in the national title game. Shaq Lawson going to get after Jay Coker because, I mean, yeah, there's a national title on the line, but guess what else Shaq Lawson's thinking about in the back of his head? Going up on those draft boards. And with a great game against Alabama, if Shaq Lawson and the Clemson defense can outplay the great defense of Alabama, that's just going to push Shaq Lawson, I would say, even to the top 10.
One thing that I really liked about Alabama is that they had some balance to their offense this past game against Michigan State.
Well,
it wasn't just
Derrick
Henry, and it wasn't just a passing game. It was a really nice balance there, and that's what they're going to need to have when they go against the Clemson Tigers. You know, it's going to be a big game. I think that we're going to see ourselves the best game of the season next Monday night. I'm excited.
I'm telling you this. I'm going to make another bold prediction. I'll tell you this right now. Wayne Gallman and Deshaun Watson are not going to have 150 and 145 rushing yards respectively.
Simple as this, though. They do. They win.
Oh, they do. They win. But it's probably, I'm not saying they get, like, those two for Clemson get shut down like you had Damian Terry with, I know he only had 1 carry, but 14. Then you had London with 11 yards on 5 carries. Scott had 8 yards, and he had the most with 6 carries. It's like Michigan State didn't have a run game. And, I mean, of course, later you got in the game, all you had to do was pass. But if you're Alabama, if you're on defense, shut down the run game, and you're going to win the game. If you are the Crimson Tide, I am going to go with Alabama. Did you say who you were picking?
No.
Give a pick.
No.
No?
No, not till later.
Not till when's later?
At the end of the show.
Okay, you're going to give your prediction at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I'll do it at the end of the podcast.
Okay.